welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a question that I get very often, and that is, which one do you recommend? Social media management as a freelancer or working a 9 to 5? So let's just hop in with kind of the juiciest question that I seem to get, and that's, tell me about the money. Which one has a higher earning potential? And I think that it really varies. I mean, the answer to this whole video is it varies, but my experience is it does vary. I definitely make more owning my own business than I did in the corporate world, but that's not to say that I made a terrible salary when I was working corporate. And I will also say that I think part of the reason that I'm able to charge what I charge now in my business is because of my experience. So it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like, I don't know that I would be able to charge the same rates I do if I was just starting and making this up as I went as a freelancer and I didn't have some experience in general. I did a whole video about freelance salaries and I'll link that up here in the cards. I think the average right now is around 50,000 for a social media manager salary. So keep that in mind. Now, the other thing that I'll say, you might think, okay, well, freelancing, you said you made more, so I'm gonna go freelance because I wanna make more money. But here's the thing, the career trajectory of a corporate social media manager, depending on what you want, might be better if you like the security and all that, which we'll talk about in a second. Because in corporate, I think the social media manager role is kind of a stepping stone, if you will, to something bigger. I've shared this article before, but some people seem to think that the next generation of CMOs or chief marketing officers are today's social media managers, which I agree with. So a CMO's salary, I don't even know what the average is, but I mean, it's definitely a 6-figure salary. So it's not to say that being a social media manager, we're only gonna make 50 grand ever and that's it, you're done. There's growth that comes with a corporate job. Whereas a business owner, you really have to work to promote yourself and give yourself raises. The other thing about working for yourself, which I do not shy away from at all, is that it is hard work. If I don't work, I don't get paid. That's not entirely true because I do have passive income streams, but if we're talking just freelance social media management, yeah, I have to work. I don't get sick days, I don't get vacation time. I have to be actively working that business to get paid. So there's definitely pros and cons to the money aspect, I will say. Now, that leads me to the next thing that I would ask you is, what do you value in life? You know, I think that some people really like work-life balance and are really turned off by entrepreneurship because of that, which is okay. There is nothing wrong with that. I think it definitely takes a very specific kind of person to want to run their own business. And I will be the first to admit that I think we're a little bit out of our minds because yeah, my work-life balance isn't the best. I definitely consider it more of like a work-life integration, which I don't think is necessarily what everybody wants. You know, do you want to have a family? Are you very family oriented? And you know that you want to have like 5 kids, you know, before you turn 30. Yeah, clearly that didn't happen for me. Think about the things that you value in life. Do you like to travel for pleasure, meaning phone off, head down, you know, full relaxing vacay? Or are you comfortable and more excited by what I am more excited by, which is being able to travel whenever I want, even if that means I have to work a little bit when I'm traveling, you know, during normal times, of course. I will also think that you should think about your personality and what really excites you and how you respond to teamwork and working with other people and getting criticism and feedback, all of that stuff. Really, really think about what your ideal situation would be. For me, I am an introvert and I really like being alone. I mean, I love people too. I'm like very fascinated by people. I really enjoy people. I think I'm easy to get along with, but I also am very motivated by myself. I can be sitting in a white wall room and think of a project to do. Now, there are other people who really need to be, you know, having conversations and being stimulated and being entertained or talking to other people to get those fresh new ideas. And that's okay. Again, these are not better or worse than things. These are just differences. I think the social media management job in general was good for me because a lot of that is done alone. I mean, besides meetings and stuff, in addition to being an introvert, I think I'm just very independent. I always have been. I've always just like to be independent, like with my family and my relationships, all of that. And again, I love family. I love being in a relationship, but I have always just been like a fiercely independent person. I want to build my own legacy. I don't want to rely on anybody else. I don't know. That's just always how I've been. So for me, entrepreneurship just made sense. It was a lot more fulfilling. Now, I think that we also need to talk about skill set a little bit here, because what I experienced working in corporate was that I was very much hired for and expected to do like one specific thing. I was the social media manager, so I was a girl who wrote the social posts, posted the social stuff, and that was kind of it. Now, I did, of course, interact with other teams and get experience doing other things, and I would volunteer to do other things, but at the end of the day, my job was to write social media posts. Like, that was it. Anything else was extra. As a business owner, I mean, I am the social media manager, the ad strategist, the web designer, the part-time accountant. I have a real accountant, but I mean, bookkeeping, I guess, is what I do. The graphic designer, the copywriter, the people manager, the HR manager, literally everything. I have to play a little bit of each of those roles. And so I definitely specialize in particular things. I specialize in original content creation and social media strategy, but I still can do all of those other things, at least at like a B+ level. And so that's a question I'd pose to you is, would you rather be a specialist or a generalist? I don't like to say that I'm a generalist because I still think I have my specialties, but I do have to be a generalist in some of those other areas. I would never call myself a specialist at graphic design, web design, bookkeeping, any of that, but I do have to know at least a little bit, enough to be dangerous, enough to get my business, keep it running. So ask yourself that. And now again, some people really enjoy being a specialist. Like, some people are like, no, I want to do ads all day. I want to do analytics all day. That's all I ever want to do. And for me, I actually felt really boxed in by that in corporate. I was like, oh my gosh, am I still just looking at like this social media post all day? Like, I know that I'm capable of doing so much more. I want to be involved. I've always been like that. I get bored very easily. I always need something to work on. So something else that kind of drove me a little bit crazy about corporate was that if your work was done, you were just like done. Like, you could just like hang out and talk to people or like, whatever. And I was like, can I like have another task? I feel like there's a certain pace in corporate that is a little bit slower than my business. And actually, let's talk about that. Things move really slow in corporate. And I'm not saying it's not for good reason, because chances are if you're working at a day job, you're probably going to be working for a bigger company usually. And that means that there's more risk involved, right? And there are more kind of hoops you have to jump through, more people you need to get approval from. There's just more cooks in the kitchen. If I'm like, hey, I have an idea, like we have this social campaign, could we build a landing page for blah, blah, blah? That would take I'm saying on a good week, it would take a week. On a bad week, it would take a month. And for me, if I have that idea for my business, for my clients, whatever, I can do that in an afternoon. Maybe 2 days at worst. Again, that's just something that I didn't prefer, is kind of how slow things moved. But again, there's definitely positives to that, because it meant that people were clocking out. They're working till 5. They weren't, oh, let me hurry up and get this landing page done and work until midnight to get it done. So there's definitely pros and cons. I'm by no means trash talking, anybody. So those are some of the major differences that I noticed. Now, what do I recommend? Like, if you are somebody who just graduated college, or you just stumbled upon social media management and you're trying to figure out which one is right for me, again, go through that list, ask yourself those questions, and I would say experiment with both. I personally found it was helpful. Even if you just want to get an internship or work a corporate job for a year or something, then you can definitely do that. Now, of course, the other thing I didn't talk about is that you're gonna need to figure out benefits if you decide to work for yourself, which for me, the way that I got over that hurdle was it's just money. It's literally just money. Everybody talks about, oh, you're gonna miss your health insurance, you're gonna miss your vacation time, all that stuff. And that's true. And don't just willy-nilly it, like really think about that. Talk to your family, especially if you have dependents or a partner or anything. But at the end of the day, they take money out of your check for that. So if I just make that much up in addition to the salary that I would be looking to get in my business, it wasn't really a stressful thing. It is different, you know, you gotta plan for that stuff and you gotta buy your own health insurance and plan vacation time yourself and all of that, but it really is just money that you need to make up. So if you can kind of reframe it that way, it makes it a little bit less scary. But of course, that is definitely something that, you know, you want to consider if you're not making that ideal salary on day one and taking on another bill like an insurance bill. So that's my experience. Those are my opinions on freelance versus full-time. Let me know in the comments. Are you a freelancer? Are you a full-timer? What do you want to be? I'd love to hear from you. I know that I have a lot of freelancers who watch, but I no doubt have some people who are in corporate as well, and I'd love to hear from you as well. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if it was helpful, and I will see you very soon for a new one. Bye.